So I'm quitting my job after 6 weeks. I am getting the fuck out of Texas and I am running back to LA. I just started this job 6 weeks ago. So how did we get here? Well, that is a fantastic story. Honestly, I just think that there were a lot of things that just weren't working out for me with this job. For starters, me being the only female engineer amongst 200 and something engineers. It is so isolating, so uncomfortable. I have heard the men there say the most heinous things about women, about everything, literally about everything. And it's just not a place that I want to be at. I can deal with being the only girl in the room. I've done it before. I can do it again. I know how to handle a man. That is not my issue. When you take that one step further, they all worship Donald Trump and all they do is talk about how much they love him on top of the obscene things they're already saying. It's just a lot as a female Latina immigrant in this fucking country. It is just a little too much for me. So I got another job and I'm going back to LA.
I quit my corporate America engineering job for a plethora of reasons. But one of those reasons is because my parents own a law firm, Dreyer Law. And right now, in order to live my life in Houston, but also work for Dreyer Law in New York, I'm flying back and forth between New York and Texas. And this is my first flight back home to New York in order to work at Dreyer Law. I'll be completely honest with y'all, I really don't know my exact job role. But that is perfect for me, and it allows me to be creative and work on the aspects of the business that I believe are the most important. So in this first trip, we're going to be doing a lot of strategy and a lot of coming up with what exactly they want me to do with the firm. I come with a much different background than everybody that has been involved with the business thus far. I have a very analytical brain, and I'm actually detached from the law because I don't have a law degree, which is one of my strengths right now. This is going to allow me to work on things like business optimization, workflow optimization, so that the workflow is efficient so that we can scale efficiently. This will also allow me to work on client relations and make sure our clients are getting the best in the business.
I quit my engineering job 4 months ago. I was very depressed and unfulfilled working in the defense industry every day. Even though it was remote and I had so many privileges and freedom, it wasn't as free as I thought it would be, and I was just yearning to be a full-time business owner. When I quit my job, I had people that were very, very subtly judging me. They laughed because my business would be social media based. They basically assumed I was going to be some influencer on TikTok, and I could tell there was a lot of lack of belief. They made it seem like I was taking a risk to follow some small hobby and that this comfy job would always be there when I need it. I think they all assumed that I would just be back one day. I know it's only been 4 months, but my life has completely changed. In just these 4 months, I've made over $150,000 in sales in my business, which is way more than my annual salary in just a third of the amount of time. We put a lot of our savings into this first real estate investment before my business took off, and now I have enough money to buy another house and to continue building a real estate empire. I'm going to Costa Rica for 2.5 weeks with my husband, and I have no worries. I actually am going to miss my business because I'm so fulfilled and passionate about it. I live and breathe what I do. I wake up every day with excitement and energy, and I love my clients. So when they told me this job would always be there if I ever came back, I laugh now and I say no thank you.
I just talked to the manager that I'm putting in my 2 weeks and I'm quitting my job. This is a very bittersweet decision to make. I really grew attached to the people that I work with, the friends that I made, and the colleagues that I've got to spend so much time with. I've been at this company for 2.5 years, and I came in as an entry-level new grad software engineer with 0 years of experience. And growing into a mid-level engineer that got promoted, I went from not being able to write a unit test to designing systems and all that stuff. I grew so much, not just professionally, but also personally as well. And this is such a bittersweet experience to go through. I've been flip-flopping back and forth between staying at the company and leaving, but my gut just kept telling me that this is something you need to do and that you should just rip off the Band-Aid and go for it. I've been dreading and holding back on having these conversations with my family, with my managers, and some of my close colleagues. And when I had these conversations with these people, it meant the world to me that whatever decisions that I make, they were in full support. And that just gave me the confidence to take the leap of faith, because I was kind of looking for one of these people to make a decision for me and tell me to stay, but they all encouraged me to leave. And it's very emotional to think about because they have a lot more faith and trust that I will make it and be successful than I have in myself. I know that when I think back on this moment that it'll just be a small glimpse of my life, but as of right now, this is a really big decision for me to make. And I don't know what's in store for me, but hopefully I have enough faith in myself to pull through and I have enough confidence and belief in myself that I will make it out.
3 reasons why I'm so over being an engineer. So a bit of background, I graduated with a degree in mechanical engineering and have been working as a mechanical engineer for 4 years, but not gonna lie, I don't love it, and seeing myself have to put up with everything I have for the rest of my working career doesn't really inspire me. So, number 1, I'm so fed up with the system that seems designed to help men, but limits my own advancement. And I've recently heard about this topic called non-promotable tasks and how women oftentimes get assigned these tasks. And then I look at what's on my plate and I'm like, yeah, not only do I have to do my own projects, but I also have these ridiculous tasks like formatting slides, and that task just falls on me. Number 2, I really don't feel like I belong. I've been on interview debriefs where the other men in the room say that they're looking for a candidate to show interest in working on cars or love to go hunting. And I respect people's hobbies outside of work, but those aren't mine. Those will never be mine. And if that's a box to check on the interview, I'm severely at a disadvantage and I will always be an outsider. And number 3, I'm looking for creative fulfillment. And that for me is building my own thing. And that's why I've started building my own activewear brand. And I'm manifesting that as my full-time job in 2023. But my brain constantly goes back and forth because I've worked so hard for my degree. And as a minority in the profession, we need more women. But at what point do I move on for the protection of my own well-being?
After years of studying engineering and being in the field, I've completely walked away from engineering. I have 70,000 people who follow me because I'm an engineer. And so I want to talk about why I left the engineering field, because a lot of people debate whether they should go into it or whether they should leave it at some point. And I want to talk to you about exactly why I did it and why it was the right choice for me, so that way you can actually understand what the thought process was and how I feel about it after making that decision. So I chose engineering like many other people because I was like, I'm good at math and science and it's a stable career. I thought it would be something my parents would be proud of for me for choosing. I had family that was in engineering careers and they were very proud of it. And thinking back to all the classes you have to take in school, math and physics and science were just my favorites. But now I realize it's because we aren't exposed to a variety of subjects. It's like you're either choosing history, English, or some kind of science, math direction, but then there's all of these majors that you have no idea if you like because you haven't been exposed to them. And so it wasn't until later that I realized I love sales and marketing and business, but I had no idea. I wasn't exposed to that. I didn't have years studying it. I didn't have family that were well versed in it. I also didn't realize that I was an extremely creative person. Growing up, I spent all of my time doing photography, videography, making things with my hands, scrapbooking. I had no idea that that wasn't me just being a kid, but because I actually really enjoyed those things and still do to this day. So once I got into my engineering career, I felt super confused because I finally got this job that I thought I liked and I didn't like it. I found myself daydreaming about all these other creative endeavors. And so I started creating content, and then I started a business that was all around marketing, and I taught myself a lot. So I left engineering to be a full-time entrepreneur, but now I'm back at a full-time job in sales because I've really figured out what I like and who I am a lot better than I knew before. I think a lot of people who choose engineering have a culture, a family, some kind of expectation or belief that it is this magical career that's so good for you to pursue. And then you think because you're good at math or science that it's going to be the right fit for you. And then a lot of people have a rude awakening or a quarter life crisis when they're sitting in their engineering job extremely unfulfilled and daydreaming about these other creative pursuits or things that they are intrigued by. I want to encourage you to explore those things now. Doesn't mean you have to take a drastic leap if you're already in an engineering career or major, but I think it's really important for you to explore those things on the side and allow them to blossom and give them the time of day because they are equally as important.
I'm a structural engineer in California, and I recently just quit my job. I have no other job lined up. I just quit it cold turkey. And the reason for that is because for a while now, I've been pretty unhappy with my position in the company. I feel like I've hit a plateau and I'm not really growing. And that has made me quite unhappy. And I've been unhappy for 6+ months. And I was always waiting for the perfect time. I would always tell myself, oh, once that perfect time comes, I will quit and I'll find a new position or something. But that perfect time never came and it will never come. And the perfect time to do anything is right now, in the moment. So that's what I decided to do. One day, I just got tired and I said, you know what? I'm quitting. And I quit. I put in my 2 weeks and last Friday was my last day at my company. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't have a plan. In California, you there's an exam called the PE, the Professional Engineering Exam, which gives you your state-approved licensure, where you are now officially a professional engineer recognized by the state of California. And that is an exam that, although you don't need to do it, at every job that you go to, they ask you about it, if you've done it, and when are your plans to take it. And it also does come with its own perks, which most companies offer you a pretty good increase in salary when you have your PE. So my plan is now for the next month or month and a half to study for my PE exam, which was something that I would always put off when I was working a 40-hour week. I would always put that off, and now I have no excuse to not do it. I've purchased a course. I've purchased this huge review course from one of the various companies that sell courses for review for this PE exam, and I'm going to be going through it. It's a massive binder of review material that I have to review, and what I'm going to be doing, what I plan on doing is working through various problems on this channel and taking you guys throughout that process with me of studying for the PE and hopefully in a month and a half passing it. So if you're interested in seeing me work through problems, describing the licensure process, and answering any other questions that you have about the PE in California or just the US in general, then come with me along this journey and of me passing this exam.
Here's a little story of how I quit my engineering job as someone who's now self-employed and didn't have a fucking plan for how or when I would quit. I literally woke up and decided to quit the day of doing it. And as an overachiever, I think that's pretty crazy because I literally worked my whole life to get that job. Especially as a first generation American, like getting that kind of career was my pride and joy. And I literally woke up and decided to quit the day that I did it. So a lot of people ask me, when did I know it was the right time to quit my job? And the truth is, there's no real right time, but what I recommend and what I decided was that it was best to quit my job when I felt super comfortable in my business. Like I had major sales, clients, future sales, and inquiries secured for months on end. I wanted to make sure I was comfortable and confident, not just doing it on a whim. And so I waited until I literally could not handle building my business and doing my career, and my business surpassed my career. So I woke up on a Monday and realized that not only was I in a position where I could quit, but I also had a one-on-one with my manager at that time, on that day. And she was transitioning into a new role, and they didn't have a new person secured yet. So it would be a while until I had somebody to report to that was like a clear, direct report. And so I took that as a sign that I had to quit that day. I had no plan. I went into the call, and I'm pretty sure I probably asked ChatGPT how to phrase it properly and then completely blacked out. I literally have the video of me shaking. And I was working remotely, so it was a lot easier. And I had the one-on-one with her, and I just interrupted her, and I was like, hey, so I have some news. I'm putting in my 2 weeks. And of course, her response was, we'd love to keep you. Is there anything we can do? Do you want to stay part-time? But I'm a firm believer in doing something 100% or 0%. Like, I don't like to dip my toe in two things. Like, if I was gonna finally go full-time in my business, like, I needed to mentally be full-time. I couldn't have 1 foot in, 1 foot out, like a safety net. I had that for so long, and I no longer could balance both. I had been working for this for so long that I was so excited, but also nervous. And I remember I called my parents while they were sleeping early in the morning, and I told them, and they were really confused. Then they called me back later in the day. They were on vacation, and they like pulled to the side to call me back, and we literally cried on the phone together about it. It's a very precious memory I have. But I think a lot of people rack up in their mind either when's the right time to quit their job, what it should be, especially if they have like this prestigious job on paper and they want to bet on themselves. And it's not even a bet. You know, when you really want to do something for yourself, you have to think of it as an equal opportunity, not beneath or riskier than a corporate job. But it truly was something that I just decided in the moment with a really strong gut feeling.
Yes, I will definitely tell you why I quit my engineering job and went from making $75,000 a year to zero. All just 2 years after graduating college. It does hurt to say that and think about the fact that I'm missing out on that income, but you know what? I'm happier now, and I'll explain a little bit of how this happened. I hope that you don't mind that I'm gonna skip like the whole making the decision that I wanted to be an engineer, because first of all, that was never my passion. I was passionate about being a teacher and math. But as you all know, that doesn't pay well. So I ended up choosing engineering. What you do need to know is that I majored in mechanical engineering, but the job that I took was a rotational program for industrial engineers. So it was really not necessarily what I had studied, but it's what I did, okay? So I was gonna move to 2 different manufacturing plants, 2 years, right, in the program. You get paid full time, and then every 6 months, you rotate into a new role. Supply chain, you have continuous improvement, production supervisor, and then like you have more like an elective one. You could be a manufacturing engineer, different things. I wish I could tell you everything, but I'd be here like an hour. Starting with like just the drama of how I ended up becoming a 25-year-old fresh out of college little girl overseeing a department of welders. 30 people, 3 different shifts, all with my manager being new. The previous manager that I replaced was like fired from her position, but not fired from the job. She was training me, she was teaching me how to do things wrong. This was a job that I could not ignore. Like, numbers, productivity numbers were being tracked. Every single day you had to have a reason why you didn't meet your numbers. You have orders to meet, things going to the UK, to China. You have orders coming in, things that like we run out of supplies. Like, essentially I was responsible for everything from one day to the next with a 0 training. You have to understand that this was just my unique experience, because also this isn't how it was supposed to be. I was put in that position because of all the firing and moving around, and they were like, you got this. And they were right, I got this. I survived. People liked me. So much so, right? Like, even my manager, that he offered me the job post graduating from the program. He's like, when you graduate the program, we're gonna pay you more. Here's the job. I was like, sir, I don't want the job. I'm losing my hair. My stress levels are through the roof. These people don't actually respect me because I was working for a union. If you've never worked with a union, keep it that way. Unions are great. They're an organization that protects employees, but it usually protects the wrong employees. It's protecting the lazy one that doesn't want to work. It's protecting the one that's coming in late 3 days in a row, It protects the bad people, and the good employees don't benefit from a union. So I have a lot of union stories. I spent half of my time being a manager in HR, and like, people try to start like cases with you that you're being unfair. Like, there's a book that you both have to follow, but like, the employees don't follow it because they have a union president that completely protects them. Somebody could not be doing their job for hours, literally just chit-chatting, and I'm just supposed to watch them because they don't respect me. They see a 15-year-old as their manager. They would even tell me, like, who do you think you are? Like, you don't know how this works. Like, I was going home crying. I had health problems. I didn't want to talk to my husband. Like I said, I could talk about this for hours because it's incident after incident after incident. It started affecting my mental health. There was a lot of that, but every day. So there was days where I couldn't fall asleep at night because I had the Sunday scaries, but every single day I was exhausted, I was stressed, I didn't want to eat, I wasn't exercising. All I was doing was doom scrolling after work, and I was working like 12-hour shifts. So I knew I wasn't going to keep the job, right? I was trying to graduate, and then I told my husband, I'm going to look for another job when my contract ends. And that was the plan until all of a sudden we decided that we were going to move to where we are now, to be closer to his job. Before I make the move, we realized that it's probably better for me to take a break so that I can regulate my system, my nervous system, right? That's whack at this point. So that he's like, why don't you take